Welcome to the Retirement Made Easy podcast, a show created to be your go-to source for straightforward retirement advice. Best of all, it is presented in a language that you can understand. Are you ready for some straight talk on retirement planning without all the fluff? Well, you found the right podcast. Here's your host, certified financial planner, Greg Gonzalez.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Retirement Made Easy podcast. This will be episode number 181, so we've really come a long way. You might be a new listener. If you are, welcome, and there's 180 previous episodes that you can enjoy. You might not enjoy them all. Some of them, topics might not apply to you, but we try to release a new episode every 2 weeks, specifically on retirement planning, on a topic I think people need to hear, or maybe can learn from. And why I'm in the position to do so, to share these different ideas and lessons, is that's all I do. So at my firm, we have rebranded to Retire Strong Financial Advisors for 2025. We're adding a couple new team members, but we specialize in working with people 50 and over as they plan for a successful retirement. And I can't do it alone, so I've got an all-star team behind me. In fact, we're adding 2 new team members very soon, actually 1 this week, but we're going to continue to do this podcast. And our goal for 2025 is to help 100 people, 100, and it might be a podcast listener, it might be someone here in St. Louis, Missouri, but we want to help 100 people this next year get a retirement plan, a retirement strategy in place so they can have the confidence and clarity they need to look ahead at retirement. So with that said, visit our website, retirementmadeeasypodcast.com. Underneath the resources tab, there's a lot of different resources like my retirement secret sauce, like our 2025 tax planning guide. Our 2025 market outlook is now there and available. And then if you want to get in contact with our team to formalize your own retirement strategy, there's a section called Work With Us and a form that you can fill out. So let's jump into today's episode. This is over the past 12 months, I've seen a lot of mistakes that people are making. And I'm not going to call anybody out specifically here on the podcast because that would not be polite. But I want to emphasize these mistakes. And my reason for doing so is to help you as the listener maybe avoid these pitfalls. And the way I think of retirement planning is different than most financial planners that you might come across. I envision, let's say we're looking at a couple, maybe you and your spouse, that you are the head of your own retirement company, your financial future. And the decisions that you make, not only now, but in the future, dictate the success that you're going to have, how long your money is going to last, and ultimately the life you live in retirement. Because the decisions we make determine or dictate the life we live. And let me give you some examples of what I mean. A lot of times we can look at companies out there, they make bad decisions, whether they were bad acquisitions, maybe they went into debt too deeply. These are strategic decisions that the company makes, and that impacts their future. So AT&T, for example, is one that, boy, they've been really struggling. If you look into their financials, years ago, they acquired DirecTV and they acquired Time Warner, and these were terrible acquisitions, and they are writing off huge losses. And the company will, quite honestly, probably never be the same because of these bad deals that they did with DirecTV and Time Warner. Another example that we're all probably familiar with, 25 years ago, the story goes that Blockbuster Video, which at the time was still doing quite well, had the opportunity to buy Netflix for $50 million. And Netflix, the founder, said they were laughed out of the room by Blockbuster Video because they didn't really believe in the future and how people might want to just watch videos from home and movies from home without actually going to a physical store to rent movies. And we all know how that all ended up. The story, Blockbuster Video ended up going out of business. They went bankrupt. Netflix now, they have a valuation of over $400 billion. So that $50 million investment 25 years ago in year 2000, they declined. They said, no, this doesn't sound like a good deal to us. And look what happened to them. But on the personal finance side, we deal with these same decisions that dictate inevitably our future. Now, there might be fewer zeros behind a lot of the decisions we make because ultimately our net worths are a lot lower than some of these Fortune 500 companies. But really, the decisions we make can either strengthen our retirement plan or weaken our retirement plan. And today we're going to talk about a half a dozen or so mistakes that I'm seeing people make that are definitely weakening their retirement plan. And a lot of people don't really grasp the overall impacts of these decisions. The first one that jumps out at me is these HELOCs, home equity line of credit. So you may remember during the pandemic, there's a lot of studies that show that people that had mortgage balances, 1/3 of those people during the pandemic took out a home equity loan. And what they did with the money, well, they put it back into the house, updating the kitchen, the living room, the basement, the bathrooms. Some people bought RVs or boats or whatever they did with it. That was very common. But a couple of years ago, during the pandemic, interest rates were a lot lower, 2, 3, 4%. Now, I am seeing people with these home equity loans, 8.5%, 9%, 9.5% is what I'm seeing. So imagine we have couple A, and then we have couple B, and they're both on the doorstep of retirement. But couple B says, oh, right before we retire, we want to buy an RV, and then we want to put money into the kitchens and redo the kitchen and the bathroom. And so now we're going to take out a home equity loan for $80,000, and we are going to pay 9% interest on that. Versus couple B says, no, interest rates are way too high. We'll start saving for that RV and the kitchen project and the bathroom project, and we'll just pay cash as we go. And it may take us 4, 5, 6 years to pay for it all, but we're just not going to take out a home equity loan. And we run a retirement plan for both couple A and couple B. And I'm just saying that home equity loan at 9.5%, and it's $80,000 loan, it just drastically impacts their success versus couple B that says, no, we're not going to take out a home equity loan. So I just thought I'd mention, I'm seeing a lot more home equity loans at somewhere between 8.5% and 9.5%. So I know the banks love it, charging you 9.5% on an $80,000 home equity loan, but that's $7,600 a year in interest the first year that you're going to pay. So the better way to approach that is, okay, if we're thinking of doing a home equity loan and it's going to be $80,000, for example, what I would encourage you to do is to look at your retirement plan without doing the home equity loan and saving the money into what's called a sinking fund, which the funds are earmarked for these big projects or these big purchases, versus taking the home equity loan at 9.5%, 9% interest, whatever it is, and seeing side by side of how it's going to impact your future and your retirement. And a lot of times seeing is believing. When you see it all worked out, boy, it'll really, really help you make up your mind on what's going to be best for you. And along that same line, I know what the price of new vehicles is. It keeps going up and up. And whether it's an SUV that you're looking at that's $75,000 or $80,000, $85,000. And I've talked to a lot of people that say, hey, it'd be nice to go into retirement with some new wheels. I want to treat myself. I've worked a long time. I want to go into retirement with a new vehicle and really feel good. And what you have here is a big depreciating asset. And you have to determine, how's this really going to impact my plan? I know a lot of people get a loan for something like this. Personally, I pay cash for vehicles. I'm not here to judge anybody, but what I'm getting at is when you have a significant purchase like that, like an $80,000 vehicle going into retirement, and you have to take the money either out of lump sum, out of your nest egg to pay for this purchase, or you're using monthly draws from your nest egg to make the payment on this big purchase, it's going to impact your retirement long-term, one way or the other. And I've had several clients as they get into retirement that come back to me and we're meeting and I'm asking, hey, are you still driving that car? And they say, that was my biggest regret. I shouldn't have paid $80,000 for that SUV or whatever it was, I was just as happy with my Toyota RAV4, which, by the way, is the number one selling vehicle in the United States last year in 2024, was a Toyota RAV4. Previous to that, it was the F-150 that was at the top selling vehicles for a long time. But last year, Toyota RAV4, top selling vehicle in the country. The next mistake that I'm seeing people make is they've looked at the market and how well it's done, especially the last 5 or 10 years. We've only really had one significant down year, and that was 2022 in the market, if you look back 10 years. But what people have been seeing in their portfolios is, gosh, the tech companies, they've just been on a big run. And so I'm seeing a lot of people that are really overweighted into companies that may be on the NASDAQ. They may be tech and biotech. And what they're doing is they're looking in the rearview mirror. They're investing their dollars today based on the past performance. Oh, well, the last 10 years, these different investments, they did the best. So that must mean the next 10 years, they're going to do the best. They're going to continue to do the best. And that's like driving, looking in the rearview mirror. You should be looking ahead and saying, okay, now I'm going to stay diversified here. Maybe you should be adjusting your risk as you approach retirement and your goals are different. But over and over again, over the past 12 months or so, we have met so many people that have so much invested, so much of their life savings, their portfolio invested in tech companies and technology, whether it's funds or ETFs or individual stocks. And so much so that a lot of times they might have 30 or 40% in one holding, and they just lack the diversification. And the reason being is because, again, they've seen the last few years, these companies, these investments have done the best, and that's what they want to stick with. But we've got to remember the risk that's involved here and really get a better measure of, okay, when we look at how our money's invested, especially as we near retirement, what could go wrong that could force us to delay our retirement? One of those is the market crashes, or just one sector doesn't do well, and that might be technology or something else, and that could really derail our game plan. And there's a story I love that I think a lot of people would appreciate, that Wayne Gretzky is probably the best hockey player to ever play the game. He played a very short time for the St. Louis Blues, actually, but the way they talk about him in St. Louis, you'd think the guy played for the St. Louis Blues for like 10 years. But Wayne Gretzky, he holds all these different records, like the most goals in a career, the most goals in one season, the most assists in one season, just most points in his career. The list goes on. This guy just set record after record. But they interviewed him one time due to a power outage in Boston. But during this short interview with Wayne Gretzky, they asked him, they said, you know, Wayne, you're not the fastest guy out there. You're not the toughest guy. You're not the biggest guy. Why are you so good? What separates you from everybody else? And he said, what I do differently is everybody wants to go to where the puck is. I go to where the puck is going to be. I don't chase the puck. I go to where the puck is going to be. As I think about that interview, it's the same with investing. You can't invest by looking in the rearview mirror. And I think that's a big mistake that I just see over and over again. And really in the past 12 months or so, some person may say this particular investment, stock, whatever it is, did really, really well the past year. And I expect it to do the same this year. Believe me, if it was only that easy. The next financial choice that I'm seeing people make as they're approaching retirement that really impacts their overall retirement plan, and I cannot fault these people because I have kids too. Mine are younger than a lot of the people that I'm working with. But when you're trying to help your adult children out, you're maybe a couple years out from retirement. Maybe you have adult children who are starting their careers. They might be starting families, purchasing that first house. Maybe they just had a wedding, and we know how expensive weddings can be. And you want to help them. You want to see them get started on the right foot. Maybe they have student loans with a 7 or 8% interest rate. And you might want to help them financially and help either pay for a wedding, pay for the down payment on the first house. It might be a vehicle purchase. It might even be a personal loan. I've had clients do that, give personal loans to adult children. So these decisions are all made with love. We're trying to help out our adult children, our grandkids if we have them. And I'm going to stop right there because there was a study that was done by, it was a focus group done by Frank Luntz. And this is all documented online if you're interested. Frank Luntz is a pollster. He did a study of the retiring generation and said, hey, do you think your kids are going to be better off than you were when you were starting out in your careers and your life? And the majority of the people that were approaching retirement said, no, we don't think our kids are going to be better off than we were when we were their age. But then they ask people in their 20s and 30s, hey, do you think you're going to be better off as you're starting your life, maybe starting a family, than your parents were? And virtually all of them said, yes, we feel we're better off than our parents were at this same age. So there's a disconnect there. And I've said this before on the podcast, but I find oftentimes that as we're working with clients, and I understand because I've got 2 young kids, anybody with children, even as they get older, as they start their own lives and move out, now you're empty nesters, all that happens, they're still your kids. And you want to do everything you can for them. But to what end? And this is why I'm bringing it up, because I have talked to people that are trying to plan for retirement, but they're also wanting to help out their kids. Maybe they're trying to help out their parents. This is the sandwich generation where, hey, they've got aging parents that need help, but they've also got adult kids that are starting their lives and need help. Helping them financially can a lot of times impact your retirement in your future and what your retirement's going to look like. And let me give you some examples. If you say, hey, gosh, I'm going to give a $50,000 loan to my kids to buy their first home as a down payment, or I want to help them pay off their student loans, and therefore I'm going to stop contributing to my 401k for a while, and I'm going to take out a loan on my 401k, or I might cash out an investment account to come up with this money to pay for this loan I'm giving them, or maybe you're paying for a wedding, whatever it might be, whatever kind of help you desire to provide for your kids or another family member, ultimately, it is going to have some kind of impact to your own retirement. And there's a lot of times where we update clients' retirement plans and it's just fine. They can do so freely, and maybe they can even help them more. But a lot of times, especially when we're stopping what we're saving for retirement, or if you're cashing out a retirement account or money that was earmarked for the purpose of retirement, that changes the ballgame. So really the question is, as we boil that down, is this decision we're making, is it going to impact either the money we have currently saved for retirement or the money that we're saving in the future for retirement? And if the answer is no, well, it doesn't impact your retirement plan. That just means that you had a lot of disposable income that you weren't counting on, and you're going to be in fine shape. But if the answer is yes, this is really going to impact things, that might cause you to delay your retirement a couple of years, especially if the help that you're providing your adult children is significant. If we're talking about more than a couple grand here, let's say we're talking about, like I said, $50,000 for a down payment on a home purchase. That's significant. Or, oh, we're going to pay off our daughter's student loan. That's $35,000. Yeah, that might have a bigger impact. Or it might not have much of an impact at all, depending on your situation. But just be cognizant of, hey, if this is something we want to do, which, yeah, like I said, we all want to help our kids, but how is it going to impact us in the future? And that's a tough topic. As a financial planner, it's hard to discuss with people because I would want to help my kids too in any possible way I can. But I just want people to recognize that, hey, what this might be doing to your retirement strategy long term. And as long as you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. But a lot of times I don't know if people realize that there's actually a major impact in doing so and helping our kids financially, especially when we're that close to retirement and we're using retirement funds to do so. The next decision that people are making that is impacting their retirement, and this is more of a smaller impact, but the fact that you carry life insurance as you're approaching retirement, you're in a season of your life where maybe you're debt-free. Maybe you got the house paid off. You carry very little, if any, debt at all. Your focus is on retiring comfortably and trying to make the decisions that are going to set you up in the best position possible for retirement. You no longer have people that are financially dependent on you, like kids. Maybe they're grown and raised and they're doing well and they've got their own lives. So you really don't have a need for life insurance anymore like you did in your past. Unless, for example, you have some very unique goals, maybe you're very charitably inclined, and that life insurance was put into place to fulfill those goals. But more and more, I see so many people that maybe have these old life insurance policies that they're still paying on, and they're 60 years old, they're debt-free, their net worth is the highest that it's ever been, and they're still paying premiums on these life insurance that they really have no need for. And we have to ask ourselves, okay, what is this helping insure or protect against? Maybe it's a premature death, or maybe it's to protect one's income. But now that you're retired, the paycheck has stopped. What is really the purpose? Why are we paying on life insurance that we really may not need? And the last topic that I wanted to talk about, last mistake that I'm seeing people make, is taking advice from someone that has a big opinion on something, but doesn't have any rationale to back it up. And so I've had a lot of conversations with people saying, oh, well, so-and-so at work, or my brother-in-law, or wherever they heard this person give them financial advice when it comes to retirement, such as, oh, you got to claim Social Security right away at 62. Don't leave money on the table. What is their rationale behind that? So instead of just taking someone's opinion on something as money in the bank and, hey, that's what I'm doing because so-and-so said so. And I'll give you some examples. Most often it's, hey, Roger in accounting said that I should take Social Security right away at 62 as soon as I'm allowed. Or Roger in accounting said, get this type of health insurance in retirement because it's the cheapest and there's no sense paying for a Medicare supplement plan when you can find a Medicare Advantage plan that is zero premium and cheap. And that's what Roger's mom does. Or Roger in accounting said that you should always take the lump sum pension option, never take the monthly annuity pension option because Roger said so. Or my cousin Susie said, you should only lease a car because you're getting the best bang for your buck just by leasing. And then you're always in a newer vehicle and you don't have to worry about things going wrong with it and replacing parts and all that kind of stuff. Or this guy named Rob, who you know from the gym, he says you should do Roth conversions and convert your entire 401k to Roth IRA as quick as you can. Do it now. The sooner the better, because as soon as you get that money in the Roth IRA, then it's automatically growing tax-free, and that's what you want. I've heard that one from several people. And so I just caution you that when you get these ideas from other people that give you advice that's not well thought out, given your personal situation and the overall impact of that, you could really be costing yourself money today, but also these decisions really impact the probability that your retirement plan is a success or not. For example, with that last one, if this guy named Rob from the gym says, hey, convert all of your pre-tax 401k and IRA money right away to Roth IRAs, and you've got someone who says, okay, well, I'm in a very high state income tax state, but next year I'm actually going to retire and I'm going to move to Florida that has zero state income tax. And then I could do those Roth conversions in Florida and pay zero state income tax. Don't you think this individual would be better off tax-wise waiting until next year and maybe doing it, spacing the Roth conversions out into maybe several different years, depending on their situation, and measuring, okay, next year, we're going to do X amount of dollars as a Roth conversion. And then the following year, which is 2027, we'll do another Roth conversion amount. And then in 2028, we'll do another lump sum Roth conversion. And by doing so, we're spreading the tax burden out, allowing us to pay taxes in a lower bracket than by doing them all in one time and also paying state income taxes this year on top of that. And I just think of all the blanket advice that people receive and actually take to heart and put into action that may be not appropriate for them and their situation. Mark Twain had a really, really famous quote that I love, and he says, "Sometimes it's not what we don't know that hurts us, it's what we think we know that just ain't." And sometimes we have these preconceived notions of what's good for us based on the opinions of others and what they're doing. And that can really set you back because we like to look at other people that might be having success and learn from them and say, gosh, if they're doing it, it must be right for me too. And I'll leave you with one story because I love stories. I was working with this couple this one time, and I'm still working with them. It's been years and years ago. But they came to the idea, we were talking about claiming Social Security and when's the best time for them. And they said, well, at full retirement age, we'll continue to work. And then at 70, we'll retire. And so their thinking was, and we ran the numbers, we talked about it all. After full retirement age, they knew they could continue to work, make as much as they wanted, and they could collect their full Social Security benefit and it would not be reduced. It would not be penalized. So that was our plan. We started their Social Security benefit at full retirement age. We had this documented in their plan and we showed them the difference of if they took that Social Security benefit, continued to work, and use that money to reinvest, but also pay off their home earlier, how doing so would impact their retirement plan. And then so they collected between 66 and a half and age 70, which is about 3.5 years. They would have all that money out of Social Security. They would be able to invest it, pay off their house. So by the time they got to 70, they had a paid off mortgage. Well, in practice, what actually happened was we got about 1.5 years in, and again, behaviors stepped in and said, well, we're going to get off the plan a little bit and we're going to stop investing that money. We're going to still try to pay off our home so it's paid off by the time that we are retired. But again, they deviated from the plan. And ultimately, they decided to stop investing the Social Security checks. And I strenuously suggested that they continue to pay off the mortgage so it was done by the time they retired. And now they're retired, they're in their 70s. But looking back, they would have been so much better off if they would have continued to not only keep paying down the mortgage so it was paid off by 70, but also invest the Social Security benefit so they had a bigger nest egg, a bigger pot of money to be able to live on in retirement. But again, our behavior dictates our future. And it's so easy to misbehave. It's so easy to get sidetracked on our original plan. Now, it turns out we updated their plan. Fortunately, their portfolio outperformed. They're going to be just fine in retirement. But again, they would have been a lot better if they had stuck to the original plan. And that was our idea of, hey, collecting the Social Security benefit and investing it and paying down their mortgage. That did not result ultimately. And that was just due to bad behavior. So I hope this episode of the Retirement Made Easy podcast has been helpful. If you have questions or want to download our resources, check out our website, retirementmadeeasypodcast.com. I'll see you next time. And remember, always dream big.
Content in this material is for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. The content in this material does not necessarily reflect the views of LPL Financial. This is a hypothetical example and is not representative of any specific situation. Your results will vary. The hypothetical rates of return used do not reflect the deduction of fees and charges inherent to investing. The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments might be appropriate for you, please consult your attorney, tax advisor, or financial planner prior to investing. This is a hypothetical example and is not representative of any specific investment. Your results may vary. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices mentioned are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. There is no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance your overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect completely against market risk. All investing involves risk, including loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The SmartVestor program is a directory of financial professionals. Neither Dave Ramsey or SmartVestor are affiliates of LPL Financial or Retire Strong Financial Advisors. Traditional IRA account owners have considerations to make before performing a Roth IRA conversion. These primarily include income tax consequences on the converted amount in the year of conversion, withdrawal limitations from a Roth IRA, and income limitations for future contributions to a Roth IRA. In addition, if you are required to take a required minimum distribution, RMD, in the year you convert, you must do so before converting to a Roth IRA. This information is not intended to be a substitute for specific individualized tax advice. We suggest that you discuss your specific tax issues with a qualified tax advisor. Fixed and variable annuities are suitable for long-term investing, such as retirement investing. Gains from tax-deferred investments are taxed as ordinary income upon withdrawal. Guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals made prior to age 59 and a half are subject to a 10% IRS penalty tax, and surrender charges may apply. Variable annuities are subject to market risk and may lose value. Riders are additional guarantee options that are available to an annuity or life insurance contract holder. While some riders are part of an existing contract, many others may carry additional fees, charges, and restrictions, and the policyholder should review their contract before purchasing. Traditional IRA account owners have considerations to make before performing a Roth IRA conversion. These primarily include income tax consequences on the converted amount in the year of conversion, withdrawal limitations from a Roth IRA, and income limitations for future contributions to a Roth IRA. In addition, if you are required to take a required minimum distribution, RMD, in the year you convert, you must do so before converting to a Roth IRA. This information is not intended to be a substitute for specific individualized tax advice. We suggest that you discuss your specific tax issues with a qualified tax advisor. Retire Strong Financial Advisors and LPL Financial are not endorsed by or affiliated with the United States Social Security Administration or any government agency. Retire Strong Financial Advisors and LPL Financial are not endorsed by or affiliated with the U.S. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services or any government agency.
Thank you for listening to the show today. Check us out at our website, retirementmadeeasypodcast.com. And if you want some help from Greg, submit your questions at the bottom of the page or sign up for a 30-minute retirement coaching session with Greg. We'll see you next week.